Welcome today to the OFFGRAY Podcast. I am pleased to have Jon Ware with me today.
How are you?
Not bad, thank you. How are you, sir?
I'm good. This is good.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Like it.
Yeah.
You're guest number 2.
Oh, Christ. No pressure.
No. So I thanks for coming
Guest
in.
number 1, Fisk.
Fisk was the first one.
Okay.
Went all right. Bit of a pilot one.
I watched it.
Oh, did you? You were the one view.
Yeah, good.
Okay, that was you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
How do you think it went?
Yeah, good. I didn't watch all of it, I'm not going to lie. I watched a bit of it.
No, I mean, I haven't even watched all of it, so I don't blame you. But what I'm going to do is, I know you, full disclosure, quite well, over the years, hence why I've got you in. But I'm going to give you a rundown. So I've put this together as like an intro of who you are. If people don't know who you are, obviously I'm just going to...
Where did you get the info? Apart from knowing me. Right.
Yeah, it's all up here.
Yeah.
It's all up here.
Is it though?
Most of it. So yeah, well I was going to chat GPT it, but I did that for Fisk and nothing.
Really?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
no, and they scoured
you'd find less than nothing.
They scoured the internet for him.
Yeah.
So okay.
I mean, I've searched. There is another guy called Jonathan Ware, who's actually quite successful. He's some sort of scientist. So he's kind of taken the reins on. If you search Jonathan Ware and ChatGPT,
I'm still with this day and age. I'm still annoyed that if I Google my name, 0 comes up. Nothing. Not even bad. That just nothing. Not even a Facebook profile.
And you were on TV before, so you think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Save that,
Yeah.
please. This is sorry. Am I even you? Or?
Sorry, go on. We'll come to that.
Yeah. Right. So you're a festival owner and an event organizer. You run events across the UK. You run quite a few large-scale festivals, and your background was essentially you came from the club promoting world as well as a DJ. You were sort of like a bit of a hybrid. You're one of them where some people that knew you as a promoter, and other people knew you as a DJ. I just want to establish something, which has always confused me. Why you got 2 names?
Yeah. It was obviously always cool to have a DJ name.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just know it's not.
How's that?
Yeah.
It was always cool to have a DJ name. I was in no way cool, so I had to do everything I could. And you know how you make a porn star name, your first pet, your mother's maiden name, and for me that became Hutch Edwards. And I think that sounded cooler than Jon Ware.
Just.
Okay, yeah, it didn't sound cool. The lesser of two evils. It sounded cooler than Jon Ware. So I went with that, and it just kind of stuck. But actually, in the end, to a bit of a detriment, because even to this day now, my dad calls me Hutch. I don't think he's called me by my real name for over a decade plus. Moving my coffee out of reach.
Yeah.
I need my caffeine. Should I put it down by my side?
That's fine.
So it stuck. And actually, I think it stuck, and it probably benefited me around the way because it's quite a unique name, and obviously people weren't full naming me, but I just became known as Hutch, and therefore I think wherever I went, it was quite a memorable name. If I'm like, hi, I'm John. If someone said, "Oh, John the DJ," it probably wouldn't have, it wouldn't have resonated, but because it was quite a unique name, I think it kind of got me through a little bit of that, where people would maybe remember me a bit more. It looked a bit better on flyers and posters, which I was on a few of in my youth. But then it was kind of that side-by-side thing. And once I started doing festivals and a bit more business-led stuff, it seemed a bit weird introducing myself as Hutch. You're talking to venues and licensing people. Obviously, I can't be like, hi, my name's Hutch. So then I had this kind of parallel tandem running. And to be honest, over the last 5 years, it's kind of, because I don't really DJ anymore, it's kind of tailed off. I think the only person, apart from my dad, who still calls me Hutch or Hutchie, Anton, my business partner.
It's almost got that Tommy Robinson feel to it.
We can avoid comparing me to a
no, but you know when you find out he's like
great.
Leonard something, I don't know what his name is, and it's always like, what's he playing at? Okay, so you started as a club promoter. How did you get into that, and when did you get into that?
From the DJing.
Right.
So I when I was about 10, I would do fake radio stations in my bedroom. I'd have, like my brother's cassette player, my cassette player, and then I'd record it, and do that. So I was kind of always interested in that kind of thing. Then I started playing at just friends' disco parties, as in I would just literally get the hi-fi from home, turn the speakers to face everyone in a village hall and do that. So again, that was a number's probably 12 at that point, 12, 13. I did in about year 10, I was a club promoter without knowing it. In year 10, I put a rave on in a village hall in Henley. I basically had to pretend to the village hall it was like a kid's 10-year-old birthday. I pretended on the phone I was my mum and it was, a 10th birthday. So yeah, pretended that. A lot of people came, which was weird because I was not popular. I was very disliked at school, which is obviously carried on into my adult life. But I was very disliked. For some reason, though, I think like a cool kid was DJing at the thing from the year above. And everyone turned up. Like a couple of hundred kids turned up to this thing. Paid like £2-3 each to get in. The guy from the hall was mortified. He lived next door and turned up. And what he thought was going to be like birthday cake and balloons was actually my brother on the door confiscating booze off people.
He's a big lump.
He's a big lad. Selling the booze back to the kids that he confiscated off on the door. There's a drum and bass DJ. There's an MC. It stinks of weed. It like horrific. So that technically was my first run into promoting, but I kind of didn't take it from there and carry on with it. I then started DJing in all the kind of local clubs in Reading. And I think I just lucked out on getting the right gigs. I was the DJ in the bar or the pub that everyone at college was going to underage. I was 17 when I started doing it in bars. And I think I lucked out on where I was playing. They were always like the places everyone wanted to go of a certain age group. And then just when I had my year out after college, just started doing it full time. And I was doing like 4 or 5 nights a week DJing. One of those nights was Vodka Revs on a Tuesday. And then about a year after I'd been doing Revs quite successfully, and it was, that night was quite big. I don't know what happened with the manager of the club fell out with the promoter. Something happened between the promoter and the manager. The manager then basically approached me and said, do you want to take this on and run this as a night? And because I've been in and around it, I'd not really done any club promotion. I'd been in and around it, so I got the concept, obviously, of charging people to come into a club. And I just got a bit of a leg up because the night was already established. I was already part of the night, so everyone kind of knew me through that. And that was then the first, and it went from there. And then not long after that, obviously, Anton. I met Anton, he's a few years younger than us, but he was doing the same thing, but for his sixth form, just putting on parties. I DJ'd at one of those sixth form parties. We ended up like connecting after that, and then started doing it together. Started running, various student nights, and went on from there.
And when was this? Because I know
like
people watching, they might just gauge your age.
2007.
2007.
Yeah, that was the first time I did one.
Hell of an era. I always find it interesting. The reason I ask is because when people get into club promoting, I always find there's not like a linear sort of journey to it as such. Like it's a very weird industry, and people fall into it in different ways. And because usually, from my experience and how I got into it, is you see someone doing it and you think, how are they doing that? How are they making money standing in a nightclub? So you got into it through your DJing. I never actually knew that.
Yeah.
And what were you DJing? What music? Back then, 2007.
Just mainstream commercial. That's where I think, like DJing wise, I always had a bit of an edge on a lot of other DJs in that mainstream, very mainstream. It's not like I did anything cool. I just liked every different type of music, and I had quite a broad taste in music. So I was just playing hits, basically. I wasn't trying to be cool. I wasn't trying to pioneer some scene. I was just playing hits. I was, on that Tuesday at Revs, I'd be playing like Pussycat Dolls, Black Eyed Peas. Like these weren't cool songs. They were like top 40 tunes, and it was just that all night, and then stick on Mr. Brightside.
I still play that now.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Mr.
You
Brightside.
can't. Pussycat Dolls, they're the ones, if in doubt. Okay, so and just to touch on the DJ, and we've discussed this away from the podcast, but I do find it an interesting and funny topic. So when you were a DJ and you were in the clubs, and I myself DJ in bars and clubs, were you getting abused?
In what way?
Or was it just me?
What?
Well, I just find that it's DJing is the club DJing it's the only profession apart from stand-up comedy where people can literally slag you off to your face, to your face.
Yeah.
And it's almost acceptable.
Yeah.
But I had a girl recently come up to me and said, have you got this song? I said, no. She goes, can I plug my phone in?
Yeah.
This is a club.
Yeah. That
respect.
I was still doing mainstream clubs around about the time that would have been like perceived by people they could do it. And yeah, 100%, it's wild. I think when streaming came out, it changed the world of people asking for songs and whatever else. Because before streaming, I think it would typically be, there was big songs. And so what people were asking for, it was never anything really outlandish. And they were never asking for anything too niche. But by the time streaming came around, I remember a girl came up to me in a club before. And she asked for a track. And I was like, I don't think I've ever heard of that. And she was like, oh, it's track 9 on Drake's third album.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, well, that's obviously not a commercially successful song. If it's not been like released, then it's not big. Like,
yeah.
So I think the perception changed when people really started like, broadening their music and listening to albums. Because before that, unless you really like someone, you're not buying the album, right? You're just listening to like the singles and the bigger ones. To your question originally, though, oh yeah, same thing with the abuse. It's mental. Exactly as you say. There's not many professions where someone can come in your face and basically just abuse you verbally without any consequence. And that, to be honest, I preferred gigs where people couldn't come near you. If like the DJ booth was a bit further up, or
you say that. I've had that at Darren Rumbelow's gigs.
But there's two extremes there though. His gigs.
He put me right at the top once.
You have to climb a ladder.
Yeah, which no other DJ used. I think it was just for my sets.
Yeah.
He put me all the way over there, and I remember DJing, and it was a brunch, but it wasn't the cool brunches where there's like R&B and girls dance. This was like a bit of a sit-down brunch, playing music. And I saw a table and they were all cheering. And I was like, here we go. And I looked closely and they were watching the rugby on a tablet. and one of them went, like, turn it down. Turn the music down. So that the cheer of the night came from them watching the fucking rugby. And there's that. But I also think, and this might be an ego thing, but I don't think regular DJs, like club bar DJs now, there's no sort of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not prestige, but there's no sort of like no one's impressed anymore. Yeah. I think maybe
because
10,
everyone's
15
a DJ
years.
now.
It's just, I did a set a couple of weeks ago, and it was people were dancing. They looked like they were having a good time. No one was slagging me off, and I finished. Music dead. Not even one comment. Not a thank you would be nice, but not even like, well done, mate. It was just, I didn't exist.
Yeah. And the turn it down thing actually is worse than the verbal abuse I found over the years. I so many times I had that where someone would walk up, and sometimes it might be. They maybe not even that early in the evening, and they'd walk up, and you think, oh, here we go. They're gonna ask for a song that maybe is quite fun to play, whatever else. So can you turn it down a little bit?
Yeah.
And you think that's how much they're not enjoying this right now.
Absolutely.
They want it to be as quiet as possible.
Yeah. I had the same.
I'd rather they said it was shit than that.
Yeah. And it's also. Again, I don't think people understand like what you're actually doing. A girl came up to me. This has happened multiple times. A girl came up to me. She asked for, J. Cole, something or another, and I said, I don't have that one. She said, what else have you got? How? What do you want? A to Z? Yeah. Like how long? What do you mean? What else have I got?
Can you play something good? Is the best one. Can you play something good?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no. Also, the real. This is when it struck me that I'm just, that I realised my age. I did a private party. It was for a girl's 18th, and she asked for girls want to have fun. And I thought, oh yeah, Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. Went for it. Didn't go down well. She runs back over. She goes, no, Girls Have Fun by Tiger.
Yeah, that's when you realise you're old.
And I thought, all right, I'm out of date. And do you DJ now?
I DJ now very infrequently. For me, I DJ a lot. I just like for my own benefit and my own pleasure, I will go and have a spin and what I'm actually going after this and doing exactly that. Actually playing to people, the benefit of running festivals is you also program the lineup on festivals and you also program what's going on through the day. So I'm not putting myself on the main stage for a peak slot, but we have like little sort of tents around the site that are a bit more kind of, they're like 150 cap. So I put myself in there in the odd set, and it's really enjoyable. And actually, I had a bit of an epiphany a few years back where, because of all the commercial mainstream DJing, I did become fairly good at that, in as much as, I was fairly consistently booked for things and whatnot. What I realized after a while, what I actually realized on this day at one of our festivals, I was there playing what I knew would make people dance. And I realized that actually all these years where I thought I've enjoyed DJing, what I've actually enjoyed, it's probably like an endorphin thing. I've enjoyed dopamine thing, sorry. I've enjoyed the dopamine of filling a dance floor and people reacting to songs, even if I don't like the songs. But it's obviously quite addictive that, okay, I'm doing something good here because people are enjoying it. And I actually realized that I have that ability, but that's not enjoyable for me. So in the last few years, I just play garage now. That's all I've ever really liked musically, is garage and house. Do that. I get so much enjoyment from it, regardless of how many people are dancing. And then at our festival the last couple of years, later in the evening, I've been playing in this little tent, playing garage, and it's ended up being full of people of our sort of age who, and when I say garage, I'm not talking I'm playing, Pied Piper, Do You Really Like It? And the commercial stuff, Daniel Bennington. I'm not playing that. I'm playing like legit garage from back in the day, stuff that wasn't released, but was big if you were our age and you knew about garage and listened to tape packs. And that has made it so much more enjoyable for me now that I'm actually playing the music I like, and then there's people of our age group enjoying it as well. So yeah, I don't play that often, but when I do, I'm being pretty rigid with that it doesn't really matter to me if there's a lot of people or a few people. I'm only really playing what I enjoy playing. Yeah,
and you have the benefit of running the event as well, so you can slot yourself
Very
in.
Easy to get a gig when you run the festival. Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah, prime time as well.
Yeah.
Have you seen a resurgence in garage? Because I find when it's played, you get a real reaction from people that are, again, maybe 35, 40 plus. And it has that sort of a nostalgic feeling to it. And what struck me generationally is it's sort of like when we were younger and our parents dancing to ABBA, which is mental. Yeah. But if you think about the timeline, it sort of is, but then I forget our age sometimes as well.
No, it's 100% nostalgia. It's had a resurgence, I think, for not just for our age group, but obviously Sammy Vergy is absolutely on fire, and his production is all the same as like Two Step used to be and whatnot. It's just, I think it's obviously gone to a different level with him and a few other people of that ilk, Bakey and some similar ones. But I still think there's a difference between the two. Like if I listen to a lot of Sammy Vergy sets, every now and again he'll play a tune from our era, but predominantly it's all quite new stuff. And I think even because I listen to the production levels on these two things, I think even because the stuff we were listening to back in the day, obviously the production wasn't to the level it is now, and I think that some of the mastering and the studio stuff, and certainly it wasn't as freely available. So I think when you listen to, if I DJ, and you might have noticed this as well, if you have a newer garage song, it's so much louder and has so much more presence than if you listen to the old stuff. Some of it is actually really poorly
I haven't noticed
mixed.
that. That's a good shout.
And so I think, not that the two different production things separate it in audience, but I think there's our generation who appreciate that older garage, and then there's this new generation coming up who are getting into this new style of garage as well. But yeah, 100% it's nostalgia, because it was, that era of when we were like 15, 16, 17, just before garage became mainstream, was a different world. Like that's just youth for us, I think.
It is, but then I found from working in for a club company and looking at we used to have to look at the analytics for like who's buying tickets and stuff. We found that the over 30s market is thriving at the moment, regards to brunches, garage brunches, R&B brunches, day parties. Is it fair to say you primarily, your festival is primarily aimed at an over 30s crowd?
Yeah, 100%. I think our average age at our shows is 34. And the programming is very much led towards that. We have, it's difficult, to be honest, as a festival promoter, it's difficult to have big names that are currently big names because of the fees. We've got Wilkinson this year, which is, he's obviously a fairly relevant, is a relevant name now and will attract a younger crowd. Other than that, on our lineup though, it's Miss Dynamite, Tiny Temper, Artful Dodger obviously do a lot of our shows. Last year we had Blazing Squad and Sweet Female Attitude, etc. So 100% it's aimed at that older demographic, and I think that's where there's a bit of a gap in the market for what I do, because I think it's a bit more limited, the options they've got. Like you said, there is day parties and whatnot, but there's not going to be many festival lineups that will appeal to that kind of crowd, and I think not many people that will be doing multi-stage festivals that are just for that kind of generation. Yeah,
there's more now than ever that I've noticed. There's these throwback festivals, but yours is, and just for the record, it's Summertime Live that we're talking about in Windsor.
Yeah, Summertime Live, Windsor and Northampton.
Nice.
Summertimelive.co.uk.
Yeah.
Tickets available now.
There you go. And you've just released your lineup, haven't you?
Just released it yesterday, yeah.
And is it Tiny Temper headlining?
Yeah, Tiny Temper. It's slightly different across the two sites, but Tiny Temper, Mr. Jam, Majestic, Artful Dodger, Miss Dynamite, Wilkinson, Matt Jam Lamont we've got this year, which is that's a really big one for me.
He's a serious Gary.
Yeah, and MCCKP as well.
CKP.
Yeah.
Do you know what we did? I had Fiskin in talking about music and garage, because he's obviously a massive garage head, and CKP didn't come up on the MCs, but I think I gave him one option. I'll get your rundown in a bit, to be fair. But CKP, brilliant, amazing host. But then Alistair, I'll say, as far as like, I don't know, Alistair's like, for me, like the rock star of MCs, if you know what I mean. Like I've never seen anyone have as much presence live as him. And it's the only way I can describe him is he's like an MC rock star. Like he will fucking stand on the speakers, jump around. Yeah. Like he will get any room, whether there's 100 people or 50,000 people. Like he will give it. I've never seen him not give it like 110%. Yeah. And every time.
We had Dave and Alistair at a show in Essex once. Hadn't sold that well. They were warming up for an Ibiza orchestra we had. The show hadn't sold that well, and I think the gigs they were used to doing for us were banged out, and they were playing in front of like thousands. So when they got there, I was almost a little bit kind of embarrassed a bit, because I was kind of like, they're coming here expecting what we normally do, and it just wasn't very busy. And before they went on, I kind of pulled out to one side and said like, listen, it's pretty dead out there. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, there's not a lot of people out there. So you might need to, and I was almost going to give him a bit of a pep talk of like, it's not going to be a normal thing. And he basically just shut down the conversation. He went, don't worry. Yeah. And exactly to your point, he walked out, and before Dave even put a tune on, Alistair's got the mic and pretty much told everyone in the arena that they have to come to the stage before the music's going to be played. Yeah. So he's drawn a bit of a crowd that way. And this particular show, we had what we call a golden circle, where you could buy a VIP ticket that got you front row. So there's the stage, then there's a bit of crowd, and then there's another barrier. So basically, if you paid a bit more, you'd be in that front section. Alistair came off the stage into the golden circle bit, up to the next barrier, and basically sat on the barrier and performed there. Yeah. So that more people could basically get involved. And by the end of it, like there's not a lot of people still there, because there wasn't that many tickets sold, but it was absolutely going off. And exactly to your point, the presence that he brings when he does that, it changes it 100%. And those boys are prolific in the gigs they do. And, they work. I mean, they are up and down the country every weekend, and that's the reason why that they're decent. They're just a decent act. They're a solid, decent act that you can guarantee are going to absolutely take the roof off.
Oh, mate, absolutely, arguably the best live garage duo. We had a power cut once, and Alistair was on the mic,
yeah.
and the sound with technical for like 15, 20 minutes, there was no music apart from the mic. That's the only thing that was working was the mic.
Yeah.
And he managed to control. There was like, I think 4,000 people. And I thought, fuck me, this is like a nightmare. And he managed to like control the whole crowd for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Even by the end, he was like, mate,
yeah.
I don't know how long more I can do this for, but I don't know many other people could do that. Honestly, like everyone was loving it. I mean, they're preferring it. If anything, they were like, we don't want the music. It was like back and forth, crowd interaction, sing-alongs, and that is like that's I mean, that's just a different skill. Like there's one thing hosting and emceeing, another thing controlling. And they were fucking nuts. This crowd as well. They were pretty fucking rowdy.
There's a tea party.
Yeah, tea party number 2. Yeah. Cool, man. All right, so there's loads to get through, and we've only probably got another. Well, I want to ask you a question in regards to like the clubbing stuff. What was your favorite era? Because there's a lot of debate now, and I know nostalgia plays a big part in this. About everyone claims they had it best back then, and nowadays, if kids don't know what it was like then. But for you, you were a promoter, and you were obviously clubbing, but running club nights for probably the last really 20 years plus almost. What is your favorite era within that?
It's tough. Like the earlier, the better, and it's probably sound like an old man. In my day, it was different, but yeah, the earlier it was, the better it was for sure. And to my point earlier, with when streaming came about, it changed everything. That wasn't just because of the fact that it was a broader music taste for everyone. What changed about clubbing after streaming came about? I think the route to market for songs was completely different, obviously. Whereas being a DJ at, let's say, like 2000s, early 2000s to mid 2000s, being a DJ in that era, you had songs before other people, before the public had them, because you would be on like promo lists. You might go record shopping in record shops. Like there was a promo system to songs coming out. Whereas I think that now probably only happens to radio stations, if that. So back then, unless someone had recorded it off the radio or whatnot, you had a couple of weeks on people actually having that song to listen to over and over and over again in the way that you do once you have that song in your personal collection. So it made the dance floor a bit better because people were waiting to hear certain songs that they, and certainly in the garage era, when garage started becoming commercial, there was a good kind of delay between promo copy to commercial release. As soon as streaming came about, it just killed that for DJs. DJs had no weapons anymore, really, apart from maybe the odd, like, random old song that someone hadn't thought they liked until they heard it in a club. Because at that point, the artist was putting it out on Spotify the day it was ready to go. So the DJ was getting it on the same day that the club goer was getting it to listen to over and over and over and over again. So by the time they got to the club, they didn't really give a fuck about hearing that song because they'd heard it a million times in the last week, etc. I think
no novelty.
Exactly that. There was no impact to it in the same way as there used to be. So I think the further back before music was so accessible so quickly, and to my point earlier with regards to how broad it is now, people's tastes have obviously broadened massively. Whereas before, I think it was a narrower narrower taste there. So the further back, the better. I sort of regret that I wasn't a bit older, to be honest, because I think by all accounts, if you go back a little bit further before that,
yeah, I've heard this. There's
like clubbing was a bit more of a thing. By the time we were old enough to be in that circuit, a lot of bars had got late licenses. I think if you go back 5 years before that, you had a pub that closed at 11, and then you had a nightclub that opened at 11. And by the time we got to it, every bar on the high street was open till 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I think also we just missed when garage at its peak, like peak garage era was probably about 98, 99, I think. And I wasn't 18 then, so I wasn't going. I went to the under 18 stuff, and that's how I got into that.
Nice to get to those.
But I think, I really liked for some reason, I just really like the 2007, 8 era, 9 era.
Yeah, you're into that R&B vibe though, right? And that was very big for that Chris Brown era. And
and also a genre that it came and went, but just for me, whenever I hear it, it just takes me back. Was the UK funky, which was I fucking loved it, and for me, it just stamps that era of, again, it was about 2007, 2008, 2009. I've thought about this, and those 3, 2, 3, 4 years, around that time, I thought clubbing was brilliant. And it was because it was basically Facebook was just coming around. People you're running guest lists on Facebook. The photo, people still cared about an album. You uploaded an album, people want to go and see themselves. As a promoter, that was you got a bit of data out of it. Everyone, it's the number one commodity that people really value, because everyone wants to see themselves. And you had, people take that down for religious reasons. I can't be seen in the club or be seen with that guy who I know is not your fiance. So. Yeah, I love that. I love that era, and especially I liked. You were Reading based. I was more Windsor, but I think because I was going to ask you what you think out of all the areas you've run, what area do you think had the best nightlife?
I mean, I was so involved in the Reading nightclub scene that I guess that would have seemed like it to me, and I think everyone used to come to Reading anyway, so I sort of assume it was the same. Obviously, I wasn't involved in I came to Windsor to your night quite a lot at Vanilla. And so I think that kind of, that was a bit arm's length for me. I never really went too much. And I didn't really go, I'm trying to sort of think, like Maidenhead I used to go to a little bit. That was pretty much it.
Didcot,
Yateley. No, so I don't think, the only thing that Reading didn't have, which Windsor had, Basingstoke had, I think, was, God, we're really going through the rock and roll areas here. Basingstoke had one, Newbury had one. A Sunday night, Reading never had, and still to this day, I don't believe has ever had.
That's a fair point.
Windsor used to have a big Sunday night.
Did Liquid Windsor.
And a few other places had really good Sundays, but Reading just never seemed to make it well. I tried a couple of times. And it just tried and failed. It just never happened.
It was always, I find Reading and Windsor were the two main hubs. And the weird thing with Windsor, and I've always got a soft spot for Windsor because I live near there. I run events there. But I also feel like it is a little bit of a anomaly in a way. And because I will, especially around 2008, 2012, whatever, that era. And I mean this when I say this, I honestly think it was one of the, if not the best place to go out for a night out. And I know people throwing, your Mayfairs, your West End, Liverpool. And I understand that there's cities out there, do these big events, massive clubs. But Windsor had about 2 or 3 clubs. And then it had like a little strip, like the Arches, a few bars. But because it's near London, you had this it had a bit of glam to it.
I think people used to make more effort in Windsor.
Yeah.
Dress-wise.
Yeah.
I remember going there. And I think if I was to go there, we'd come there for that Wednesday night, because again, Reading never had a Wednesday night either. So Wednesday was typically the night I could actually go out. And I remember going there, and after going there for the first time, realizing that actually I needed to up my game a bit on what I was wearing, because everyone in there was really well turned out. It just seemed like a more glamorous crowd. Reading was a bit more down to earth and whatnot. I've just had a horrific flashback when saying that I remember coming to your night once. This would have been sort of, I guess, 2008, 2009, in skin tight black jeans, a white shirt tucked in, and a skinny black tie.
Yeah.
and trainers, and thinking I was the absolute bollocks for wearing that. And when I look back now, I'm like, I can only imagine as a bystander looking at me from afar, thinking, what is that knob wearing?
Look at area manager.
What? No, it wasn't even that. I think. Do you know what? I think.
Did you say a t-shirt or a shirt?
Shirt, white shirt. White shirt with a tie. And God, it's even worse now. A leather jacket.
Amazing.
A leather jacket over the top of it. I thought I was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always my problem in it. And to your point on the Hutch Edwards thing, that was always my issue. I thought I was a lot cooler than I was.
But then you left Reading. Then
I left Reading and realised actually, I'm big fish in a small pond. You come outside of that and suddenly. But
I do think around that era, like that time, the fashion was mental for guys as well.
Yeah.
Because I knew there was no shame as a guy. I knew guys that were like men, like men's men, right? And we're talking All Saints here. We're talking All Saints. I don't know how it's still going. All right, I don't know who buys it.
Yeah.
But obviously everyone dressed the same, and I don't know how this was appropriate to go out as a man. It was like the V-neck. How low could you go?
Yeah.
Scarf. Yeah, get one of them on, sure.
scarves and those army ones. I don't know if they're army ones.
Well,
they're not more than a scarf. It was like you ended up with like almost like a neckerchief.
Cravette sort of thing.
Yeah.
You're the low cut V. Yeah, a scarf in a club. Wear that. Rosary beads.
Yeah,
layer them in.
I stopped. That was my limit. Was rosary beads. I didn't get quite that far.
Yeah, I mean, it was sometimes one or the other. I sometimes doubled up, so I did the scarf and the rosary bead,
right.
and then baggy ripped jeans. But here's the worst part: boots.
Yeah.
All Saints boots that like flapped out.
They weren't
mental.
Yeah.
Mate, don't do them up. No, leave them undone.
God,
if
no.
anything, drag them around. The fashion back then as well just adds to it. I think for good and bad.
I'd be really intrigued to see All Saints books.
Yeah.
In this country, I think I think overseas they're still. I think in America, for example, All Saints is still quite a thing. I would love to see how that sales graph goes around 2007, 2008, because there must have been just the most insane spike in their sales and then a huge drop off because it became to the point where once it fell out, it was kind of like if you saw someone with that whatever the skull thing was, the All Saints logo. If you saw someone with that T-shirt, it was almost a bit like, oh, fucking hell, we're still wearing All Saints. That it must have just dropped off. I'm sure the owner of All Saints is probably sat watching this, going like, "Yeah, I'm still fucking rich. Don't worry about it." Probably, yeah, it's very, very unlikely.
I don't think anyone is.
Very unlikely is watching it, but you know, I'd imagine their sales had a real flourish.
I'm shocked they're still in business, and because they still sell the same stuff. That's why I'm shocked. It's not like they've rebranded. It's like, if you want to wear a V-neck T-shirt down to there and a leather jacket with like rips in it, and this was like 2 months ago I saw this in a shop. It's like, that would be great if this was 2009.
Yeah.
So, but they're still in business. So,
do you know the bigger shock than All Saints on that? Evisu.
Well, yeah.
I still see Evisu shops about.
It's almost a throwback now. With the
I guess, yeah. I guess
the retro wear. Question about club promoting. I want to get your view on this, Sin. As obviously you've been there, done it. You were a successful club promoter. Now you run large scale festivals, which is a great achievement. Do you think club promoting now is harder or easier than it used to be?
I'm so far removed from it now that I wouldn't begin to know for sure. I now and again catch up. Toby Mullins, you obviously know. He's obviously doing huge stuff now outside of club promoting, but they still have I think a strong Reading Uni kind of club promotion situation. When I've caught up with him, he says it's just a completely different game to when we were doing it back in the day. And I think it started, but when we packed it all in, I can't remember what era that was, maybe 2015. It had started to become a bit of a shit show, I thought, because like in the earlier days, there was competition, but it was kind of balanced competition. It was like, if you ran a Tuesday night, there might be another Tuesday night that was your rival, and that was it. I think by the time we stopped doing it, I remember when we stopped doing the Tuesday at Revs, I think there was like 5 Tuesday night student nights in Reading, which there's not that many students in Reading to split across that. And so I think that, for one, I think it just became super saturated. But I think all the obvious stuff that everyone knows now about the industry and the country is, I think there's just a decline in people going to nightclubs. I think day parties are bigger, and I think bigger raves are much bigger. I think when we were doing it before, there wasn't a drum sheds situation going on. There wasn't these really large scale rave venues.
Tobacco docks. Warehouse project.
Yeah, there wasn't those kind of things then appealing to a mass market. And I think now that culture has become way bigger. I think when we were doing it, there would be the odd, like Sub 89 would have Scream and Benga come and play, and it was a massive deal, but really it was still 1,000 kids going down to it. Now I think that's probably mopped up anyone who was even thinking about going to club nights. Also, by all accounts, drugs now, and like harder drugs. I know when we were doing it around the industry, like that, there would have been a lot of people probably doing coke in the toilets and whatnot. From what I understand now, 18 to 21-year-olds are so into drugs, way more than all the whole spectrum. The whole lot,
mixing it all up.
Yeah,
mixing it all up. I'm getting down like CK, coke and Ket,
right?
Which I learned.
But they're into that a lot more. So I think there's not even that kind of drinking culture now. I think they turn up to a club very late, absolutely off their chops. And so I think that also then there just isn't that kind of market for going out at 9, 10 o'clock and it building up and whatnot. I think it is just a very, very small window. Like I say, I'm quite far removed from it now, but yeah, from what I hear, that's the crack.
Two things on this: the drug thing I'm with you on, and the last club night I ran, which was probably about 5 years ago, that I was actually heavily involved in. I did think to myself, there's far more people doing drugs now compared to about 15, 20 years ago. Say there was like one table that were getting on it. You could sort of tell you knew someone. And then I went to this when I was about 5 years ago. There was loads of little 18-year-olds, girls and guys, and they weren't even being subtle. They weren't even being, and I would say on a majority of people were on coke. And the queues, they're passing it round. Three of you around the music-led stuff has now really, and the day raves and things like that have really taken off. And I think that there is like a lack of like people just going out week in, week out to venues like there used to be. Like you could be a promoter that could run a weekly event, build sort of some momentum, build a bit of a crowd. Now, and they would maybe go to Ibiza on holiday and go to one festival. Now they've got better options. They save their money up to go to like big ticketed events, online dating as well, big one as well. You used to have to go to a club to pull someone.
Very good point.
You had to go, she's going to be there next week. I want to see her. Now it's just, pardon?
You had a very particular person in your head then. Who are you thinking of?
I think now, like, it's the era of digital marketers. So I don't think you need any friends. I don't think you need to be popular. All digital now, really. So I think that's more necessary now than ever. Like the geeks are taking over. Promoting used to be quite cool to be promoted. You used to know some people, be a bit popular. Yeah. Now it's the biggest geek can be the best promoter. You know, sitting there on COD while like running ads. Got some questions for you then regarding your, I guess, like what you do now in your festivals. So. Who's the best act you've ever booked?
With regards to the performance or for selling tickets? Because they're two very different things.
So performance, best live act.
To be honest, Artful Dodger are up there for the show. The Ibiza orchestra we worked with, Classic Ibiza, they were pretty phenomenal. I think just more so for the impact. I know the orchestra thing's kind of been done a bit now, but the impact of that. If one night, Anton and I went into the crowd for one of our shows and sort of just went dead center. Normally we're watching it from the side or the back or whatever else. Went in and I remember watching it being like, this is fucking good. As a performance, like it was really good. So yeah, they're pretty decent. So Solid Crew.
Yeah,
we had last year. At two of our shows, and I think I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest, because I think maybe we do a lot of nostalgia stuff, you know. We had Blazing Squad and Oxide and Neutrino and you know, just a lot of like throwback stuff. So Solid, we had Lisa Mafia, Romeo, there was one of the other members I forget now, and the DJ Dan the Man. It was obscene. The way they came out, tent was packed to come and see them, but the way they came out and the set they did, a lot. You know, some of these acts come out and they just do the hits. They do, you know, the songs they're known for. They came out and absolutely annihilated the place. It was ridiculous. There's videos of it on our social media, but it just, they were, and not to say I wasn't expecting them to be good, but I think it caught me off guard just how bloody good they were as a performance. Yeah,
there was a company I used to work with, but booked them, and I walked in on their show. Wasn't expecting them to, I didn't know they were there. I just was going in to meet the manager at something or another, and they happened to be on. And it was like watching the Mobos from 2003. They were kitted out in I think denim and denim, maybe white denim and denim. They had like Timberlands on. It was so impressive how they showed up. And again, they looked like they had dressed for the occasion, which like that may seem obvious, but some people don't. They just turn up, do the gig, go home. They don't care. They dress for it. They clearly put it together. There was like a bit of like choreography to a degree of how they were moving, and I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like it was literally like stepping back into 2003. I think it was Romeo there. I think Harvey was there. I think Lisa Mafia. And it was sick. It was absolutely fucking sick. So yeah, so they're up there for you then.
Yeah, without doubt. Them. I'm trying to sort of think through. We've had a lot of people over the last few years, and there's been some great stuff. But yeah, they stand out. The orchestra definitely stand out. I think those ones are the top runners.
Who's your favourite DJ?
Tough. I mean, EZ's the obvious choice, but it's cliche to say EZ now.
Well, can I say something on EZ? Because he gets spoken about a lot because I think he's the best DJ. Not just garage DJ, the best DJ. And again, if you're into garage, you're going to be a bit biased towards him. But it's similar to the Artful Dodger about the intensity and energy they bring, especially Alistair as a frontman. EZ, he always nails it. And like it's just how intense he is and his sets are. And did we do this together when that garage took a bit of a decline in about 2011? Like it obviously was sort of there wasn't brunches, festivals weren't booking big garage acts. There were DJs and MCs were sort of cutting deals for work because there wasn't as much of a necessity. And were you with me? I swear you were. We had EZ in Yates's Reading. Do you remember? Or was I working with you at the time?
I remember you telling me about it, but no, it was. Yeah, I wasn't there.
Well, yeah, and it was there were about 20 people turn up because it just wasn't a thing. Like EZ's performing at Yates's. He turned up. I always remember he was, I felt embarrassed thinking there's 20 people and it's Yates Reading. Didn't bat an eyelid, no sort of a judgment. Rolled in, just good, energy, like happy to be there. Did his set, probably one of the best sets I've ever heard of him. And 20 people loving it, like probably the best night of their lives. And it was what I was surprised at was that how much effort he gave those 20 people in Yates's.
Yeah, that's the sign of a professional. Though, right?
Fucking mental. And one of the best I've ever heard. And he could have been performing in front of Glastonbury. And I thought, bloody hell, you are the best. Yeah.
I think part of it is being a true professional. Part of it is also he's probably getting paid about, I'm not throwing numbers, but he's probably getting paid a lot of money to be there. So I guess...
Not a great deal.
Really?
No, about £1,100.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to touch
that. But I didn't though, because that was like what he was going. That was the prices then, and they all went up. And I'm glad that he has had a second win. My cousin, who was this about 10 years ago now, she heard him at a festival, and she thought he was a new DJ. She said, "Oh, no, that EZ guy, he's sick. She thought it was a new DJ coming up." I was like, "Yeah, EZ. He's been going for 25 years." Yeah. So back to you then. So your favourite?
Well, so yeah, I mean, if we take EZ out of the equation, which I think is a given, Jaguar skills, like without doubt.
Yeah.
Mainly because I do like a lot of different music and a lot of different styles. And it's not easy to switch between styles, but the stuff he puts together, I think there's a lot of prep that goes into what he does. He's not just turning up and playing songs. Like I've never delved in or asked him. We've had him at a couple of shows, but I think he pre-does a lot of remixes. He puts edits together that help him to kind of transition between the things. So yeah, pound for pound on a live thing. I mean, he was at Tea Party, obviously the year we did it, and he finished the show, I think. And I'm going to stick with that.
What's the maddest rider you've ever been?
We've just had it, actually. I'm not going to say who it is, but we've just had a rider that's absolutely ridiculous.
Tiny Temper?
No, it's not for our festival. It's we do concerts either side. It's they're
Don't tell us who they are. Don't tell us who the act is, because you don't want to slag them off.
Yeah.
But tell us the rider. They will know.
We have to restock their tour bus.
Oh, amazing. Double decker, I hope.
Probably. We have to restock the tour bus. We have to provide 15 crew to help load in and load out their stuff. I mean, there might be, it might be that we're just not used to doing this level of act, and this is part and parcel. But it's obviously quite shocking for us. We're used to someone being like, "Yeah, I need a bottle of Grey Goose and 4 Coronas." That's their rider. But yeah, they need 15 crew, the most obscene amount of catering. I think it's like 30 dinners throughout the day. So a breakfast, a lunch and a dinner, and a post-show platter of certain foods and this and that and the other. Yeah, it's a lot. So that's for a big band. For DJs though, we've had a few where I think it's a lot for a 1 hour's DJ set. Multiple bottles of spirits, 24 packs of beers, etc. I think the issue with riders is, I think some DJs they'll be playing Reading Festival one weekend and they'll be playing our little show in Windsor the next weekend, and the rider that gets sent to those two promoters is the same, shockingly. Sometimes agents are quite flexible. We might be able to contact an agent, and we have done this before and it's worked, where we kind of contact and say, listen, we are not Reading Festival. We're very limited on budget. And whereas we're happy to supply whatever they want on the day, we'll get them, if they want a second bottle of vodka, no worries. Would you mind if we didn't preemptively put out what effectively would probably cater a party of 50 people with alcohol and food? Yeah. Can we just do it ad hoc? Whatever you want, we're going to go and get it for you. Some say yes, some it's just a flat no. It's like, no, you need to provide everything that's on that rider. So yeah, we've had a few that's a lot for what is essentially a DJ doing a 60-minute set.
Okay, and then so off the back of that, and again, you don't have to name them because I understand you're obviously you're going to book these people again maybe, and you have to deal with agents. But who have you had any real sort of diva moments that stands out to you?
There is. I can't talk about it. I definitely can't say who it is because we've got them again. So I cannot say who it was. We had someone. There was a miscommunication about equipment, about what model of CDJs were at the show.
Quite a...
Right, it was what at the time. I still don't really know all the model numbers. It goes ridiculous now. At the time, these ones had just come out.
Okay,
and I think it was the first time we'd seen them on a rider, and we got the rider very late. And I think it was kind of a bit of a skim read. It said CDJ.
Yeah,
whatever.
You think they're going to be 2,000s or 3,000s, something like that.
It's not like we had shit decks on the stage. We had top of the range, what every other DJ had requested. The industry standard. Just this particular act had requested one that would brand new out, and we just maybe had missed it on the thing. We got it very late, and we'd missed it. So he's turned up. Tour manager has gone to the stage, and this is like 15 minutes till he goes on. Basically come back and been like, he can't play on those decks. And this is late in the evening, packed, 7,000-8,000 people there. To me, that was alien because I just, most DJs can just about, we've had times before where someone's turned up and like, that's not really what I asked for, but I can well work with it. Just flat out refused to go on. And we didn't really have any time to rectify it. We had 15 minutes and it was the show before, it was support bill before the headliner. So there wasn't really anything that could be done. So it was just a flat no. There was no ifs, no buts. It was not happening.
Well, the DJ did not play.
Didn't play. Didn't play and didn't. That was it. His tour manager did try and cobble together someone locally that might sort it, but like I say, there were 15 minutes to go, and
what was the equipment they wanted? Can you remember?
It was what, and now probably the standard CDJs. It was them, but this is when they literally months after they come out. But that's really the only time we've had major pushback on anything, and anything that's remotely kind of like hostile with something like that. Well, the only other one that wasn't a tantrum at all, was just very like matter of fact, was Fat Man Scoop. God rest his soul, by the way. We had him at a show, and I think we were running behind by 10-15 minutes. And so just nice to meet you. Here's your dressing room, etc. Just so you know, we're about 10-15 minutes behind. So actually, it's not going to be 4:30. It's going to be 4:45. He looked me square in the face, and he's quite a commanding guy. And he went, I think let's stick to 4:30.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, yeah. We're trying our best, but we're running behind. And he went, let's stick to 4:30. Still polite. It wasn't like he was menacing, but he was just a very dominating character.
Yeah, I would say it's a threat.
Yeah, but so I ran to the stage and was like, whoever it was on the stage, you're going to need to wrap this up, mate, because Scoop wants to go on now.
Now.
Yeah, right now. He did absolutely tear it down there, by the way. In fact, actually going back to the performances, Fat Man Scoop was insane as a performance.
Of course, yeah. Well, he's that naughty throwback, isn't he? One of the what's the tune again? You know, the tune.
Yeah, Be Faithful.
The tune.
Yeah,
his tune. Yeah. Regarding the artist that didn't go on, refused to because of the equipment. How does it work? Legalities around that? Can you get your money back? Do you
Absolutely
get
not.
Deposit back?
Nope. I think we tried to get another gig the next year, and it was absolutely not happening. That world, it's so stacked in the favor of the artist, you wouldn't believe it. It's like we've had a band cancel before due to illness, which obviously, like, fair enough, they can't get around that. That situation is the worst thing that can ever happen to a concert promoter, because they can't perform. We then have to refund people that want to refund. We've rescheduled it for another date. It probably cost us 50, 60 grand for that cancellation in refunds. Obviously, we've marketed the event. We can't get that money back.
You said the artist was ill.
They were ill, but legitimately ill. They sent a doctor's letter and this, that, and the other to prove they were ill and whatnot. But reschedule, there's cancellation insurance, which can take care of some of it. But if you don't cancel, you don't get that. So we had to reschedule the show because it was more beneficial to reschedule than it was cancel. But when their rider came through for that rescheduled show, there was some stuff on there was a little bit over the top. I think it was like a diptyque candle, which I'd not heard of until that. It's about £100 candle. And I think I went to the agent and was basically like, listen, under the circumstances, because we've rescheduled and this has cost us a lot of money, and by the way, it's cost you nothing, do you really need a diptyque candle? And the response back was, yes, we do. And I thought, like, you've cost us tens of thousands of pounds. You've cost yourself nothing. It's not like you've been like, oh, we understand you've lost a bit of money here, we'll cut our fee. And you still want this £100 candle, which, by the way, cannot have any benefit to the show. It's not like it's like food, drink, honey. It was absolutely crazy. But that's the word. It's so stacked in the artist's favour that, like, there just is no movement on that. So yeah, to your question on the DJ one, there was nothing we could do.
Yeah, I think I've forgotten the name. Yeah, I think Rich's festival was over on the coastal near Southampton. I can't remember where, but it was actually on the coast. I've forgotten what it was called, but it got rained off. The weather was atrocious, and there was something around the insurance where they weren't covered, and they just lost so much money.
Yeah.
And it was just because on this one weekend, the weather was hurricane style. It was like torrential rain, completely and utterly ruined the event. Could not run it. And they just lost every single penny. Is there can you insure yourself for weather? You
can insure yourself, but the criteria is very, very strict. We have really intricate insurance policies for we do winter events. We do these light trails because they are prone to cancellations because of weather. We have these insurance policies in place. But when I say the guidelines are strict, we have to check like 7 different weather reports, get screenshots of those. We have to show minutes for meetings where we've discussed the criteria for cancelling, provide all kinds of paperwork, and that, it will get reimbursed, but you have to really follow the rules. You can't just be like, yeah, we cancelled, give us the money. Yeah. You have to really justify why it was cancelled. Did it need to be cancelled? What were your costs specifically for that day? Can you prove you were going to make that much on the bar, etc.? It's very, very strict, understandably, because it's open to being taken advantage of.
I think for me, the biggest eye-opener from going from like club promoter to running festivals, and you must have seen this yourself, it is a completely different ball game operating an event to promoting an event. And I think on the second event we did together, the second tea party, we tried running it ourselves. I think like Anton, we just labelled Anton, who's obviously your business partner, as like, you're going to be lead operator, just because we thought it was more fitting for him to be. He had no credential. It was just like, you can operate. We'll all have earpieces in. Yeah. We can all talk to each other, and let's just run it and see how it goes.
Absolute shit show.
A speaker. I remember hearing mid-conversation with someone, when's thingy going on? And just said, speakers on fire.
There was a fire,
and I looked
yeah.
over and there was a bit of smoke
Yeah,
on the
it was
speaker.
it was a fire.
No one noticed, and everyone was
Yeah.
like raving, and it was a fucking nightmare. Didn't know what we were doing. Didn't know who anyone was. I'm not walking around the back of the stage. Who are you? I'm the sound engineer.
Free
The
for all.
sound engineer.
Yeah.
Just a little man with headphones thinking, do we need a sound engineer? Absolutely did, because the music cut out.
Yeah.
And after, it wasn't fun. I remember dressing up, thinking this is going to be a good party. I just thought it was a big club
Yeah.
in a courtyard
Yeah.
with a stage. And that wasn't even a big event, but it was big to us, right?
Yeah.
About, I don't know, 4,000 people or something. And after that, I think you refunded about 500 people. Do you remember?
Because not everyone could get in.
No. Yeah, because we got the capacity wrong.
Yeah.
So we think we oversold tickets.
We had to stop letting people in that had bought tickets.
Yeah. And the queue was 400 meters long, maybe plus. And after that event, I just thought, fucking hell, like it's nothing like running club nights, and it's a completely different skill. And actually, I if you're a good promoter, I don't think you usually don't make a good operator because you think differently.
Well, only we either outsource or we now have an ops director.
So yeah, you can do a bit of promo if you want now.
Great.
So you've got so as it stands now, we're in. Just to timestamp it, we are in I don't know,
End of Jan.
End of Jan, 2026.
Yeah.
So what you got going on this? What you got going on this year, mate?
Yeah, good. Summertime Live. We've got 2 of those this year, but local to here is local to here. Like I'm saying, it's like this is a community radio station. We've got one in Windsor, one in Northampton. Summertimelive.co.uk for all the details and tickets. So yeah, they're our big festival shows, and then we are. I can't really say who we've got on one of the dates now because I've been slagging off their rider. We've got a few concerts either side of that, and we're doing a couple of bits either side, and there's effectively a concert series in both locations now. We're trying to build it as more of a weekend of events rather than before we've done festivals, and then we've had kind of disjointed concerts here and there. So yeah, we've got a big 80s night in Northampton, Wet performing. So my mum is thrilled about that. So yeah, Wet, ABC, Mark Almond. I don't know either.
The Wet Lead singer,
Marty Pello.
Yeah, he actually lives around her.
No.
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah, he used to train at the Beresteed.
Right,
If you're
okay.
asking, if anyone.
Yes, we've got the 80s night. We've got a race day at Windsor Racecourse with Madness, which I'm really looking forward to. Which that can be a good one. And we've got a Friday night there that we've not announced yet, so I can't reveal it. But we've got a pretty big act on the Friday there in Windsor as well. So yeah, that's it. And then our winter light trails later in the year, which have become like a bigger part of our business than festivals.
Yeah, I've seen them pop up everywhere. I refused. My friend and her daughter wanted to go. I think I told you this.
To the Windsor one.
Yeah, and I 20, what was it, £40, about £40 a ticket, and I point blank refused. You
asked me if I could get you
in. I did. I tried to get guest lists for a light trail.
Yeah, it's massive.
Because I'm not going to pay £30-40 to walk around and look at some lights. Refused to.
This isn't doing wonders for the promotion for my light trail.
No, I know, but I just think it's an absolute waste of money.
They're very expensive to run.
I don't know.
I know secondhand
know
what Windsor invest in their light trail, and it will give you nightmares.
It just feels like a rip-off.
No, it's not. When it comes to how much goes into it, it's a lot of money.
Really?
Way more than putting a music festival on.
No.
Way more. It's like our one, which is not as big. Our one's not quite as big as Windsor, and it takes a team of about 20 people 4 to 5 weeks to set up, and another 2 weeks to break down, and then a lot of different generators, lights, all this. It's a lot goes into it.
And regarding your the events you're putting on, are you going to be DJing any of them?
I am going to be
Slot
DJing at Summertime Live. I will play a couple of sets.
Room for a little one?
Yeah, I'll come and MC if you want.
Yeah.
We didn't cover that enough today.
Well,
your MC career, so I'm going to have to come back on to
what career?
Yeah, I think you're doing yourself an injustice there. I think you were a name.
I've had a stint. Stint on the mic. But yeah, I might make an appearance at your
100%. You're always welcome,
I usually
Jay.
message you every year and I don't get a reply, and then I turn up.
Yeah, phone signal's bad.
So okay, cool. Well, thank you for today, John.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. We'll get you on again.
I hope so.
And good luck with your events this year, sir.
Thanks. See you there.
Oui.